Good morning, 360 family. It's great to be back in my studio, my own studio. I'm pretty sure you can pick up on that. It's been a rough ride with regards to recording on holiday. As you know, you're not used to your surroundings. So I tried to record. I hope you guys enjoyed some of the shows we did over the holiday period. And yeah, it still feels like Christmas time, right? Pretty special time of the year as we also head into New Year. 2025 ahead. Lots of exciting things to come for me and for all of you, I'm sure. Everyone that will have plans of the new year, taking on life, goals, dreams. I hope to all of you that they come true and that you achieve all your goals that you have set out for the new year. But before we get to that new year, there's a bit of test cricket happening around the world. 2 massive test matches, as you know, India and Australia, and also South Africa and Pakistan. But for now, it's the 28th of December. So it's day 3, basically done over there in Australia. But for South Africa, heading into day 3 now, only about an hour and a half away from the start of play, as Pakistan and South Africa locking horns there. Pakistan 2-11 in that first innings, guys. And then South Africa found themselves in a little bit of trouble halfway through that innings. And in walked Corbin Bosch at the back end and scored an incredible 80-odd runs to give South Africa that 90-odd lead. So very important, because as the wicket flattened out, we saw Pakistan handling the South African bowlers a lot easier in that second innings. So far, 88 for 3. Kagiso Rabada getting that breakthrough with an incredible delivery, top of off. I always tell youngsters when I talk to them about bowling to good batters, where should you bowl? And yes, you can throw a bounce or two in there, find a good length. But ultimately, if you can make the cricket ball hit the top of off stump, you're in with a good shot. Jacques Kallis always said we would have these analysis meetings going into big games, and guys would talk about how we're going to get batters out, and we'll plan and game plans, field placings. And then always Jacques Kallis, a man of few words. He would never be very loud in team meetings. But he came up with this one sentence, top of off with the odd bouncer. That was always the only value he would add in a team meeting. But he was so right and so spot on with his analysis. Top of off with the odd bouncer. So Rabada throwing in a few bounces here and there and ultimately finding the top of off stump and getting rid of that first wicket. And then 2 and 3 followed with Marco Jansen finding a bit of rhythm with his bowling. With his run-up at least and his bowling. The bowlers always talk about rhythm, and it was great to see him run in with confidence, playing with around the wicket and also over the wicket, really making the batters think. And he gets that natural bounce, and that's how he got both those wickets, really bouncing off a good length, and both of them caught at gully, hardly carrying. Good catches taken there in the gully cordon or gully position. I think the one was Tristan Stubbs, and I think the other one, David Bedingham, if I'm not mistaken, but good catches nonetheless. Want to remind them to keep close as the ball gets older. The ball doesn't travel as far. Anyway, guys, as per usual, please post your questions down below. Today will be a short and a sharp session, as always, for the live shows, as I am planning to take my boys for a bit of test cricket today. I'm back in Pretoria, back from holiday, and it's time to get ready for the new year, right? Very exciting times ahead. As I'll quickly take a question before we move on to the next topic. Just quickly on South Africa and Pakistan. It's still very much in the balance there. If Pakistan can find a way to get through the first hour and have a solid session to lunch today, I feel they will be in a very good position, making sure they don't get more than 4 or 5 maximum down, and then extend it into that afternoon session where the wicket will flatten out, the ball will get softer, and the wicket will play slower. I think they'll get themselves into a really good position as the cracks will start opening up today. If they can find themselves bowling on day 4 and not today, I think they will have a very good chance of winning this test match. But as of now, still pretty much in the hands of the Proteas. They got to have a really good session this morning, find a few breakthroughs, which they should in the morning session at Centurion. And then hopefully they will drive through that Pakistan batting order and find a way to win this test match, because it's a very important test match for them to cement their spot at the top of that WTC log. I missed that first question, but I'll quickly cover this. Anything else I can do to carry this momentum in the test cricket? Zikani, thank you very much for That question, I guess you're from South Africa. It sounds like you're a South African supporter. I think just the basics, because they are in control, very much in the pound seat, South Africa, and making sure that they don't give away free boundaries like they did yesterday afternoon when they started bowling. I think they almost expected things just to happen. After that first inning stumble from Pakistan, South Africa probably came in a little bit blasé about it, I would say, maybe, and bowling a lot of boundary hitting deliveries. And before the minute they looked up, Pakistan really closed down that gap. They were 40 or 50 without loss somewhere there. And in stepped Kagiso Rabada, luckily, because Pakistan were really finding a bit of rhythm with their batting. Excuse me, cockroach in my throat. Anyway, I would say the momentum or the name of the game would be to keep the runs down, keep them quiet. And that's almost the opposite than people usually expect to hear. You would think like, the momentum will be just to like break through them, ball bounces, bowl it full, nick them off, go crazy. But ultimately in Test cricket, you get wickets through building pressure, through really making the batters work for their runs and not giving away easy boundaries, leg side, half volley, stuff like that. You want them to work for their runs. Even sometimes think of having a third man out or the deep point guy for the good deliveries that go down there, and then ultimately they don't get a boundary, they get one run. And then the batters feel like they're not going anywhere, and finally they start searching for boundaries, and that's where you want a batter in Test cricket. So for me, South Africa, that would be the name of the game. This first morning session, not to get too greedy, not to go wicket searching, but just keep the runs down, because Pakistan will feel the pressure. They're still 2 runs behind and under the pump. And don't give Pakistan free runs where all of a sudden they're 50 ahead, they haven't lost a wicket, and the runs have come easily. So that will be my momentum gainer for the Proteas. Just absorb, wait, be patient, and force Pakistan to start searching for boundaries. And that is what you want. And then for the Pakistan batters, it would be to wait for the bad deliveries. That's how they're going to get momentum. There's that question from Shah. Any good suggestions for Pakistani batters? That would be exactly the opposite to what I'm just saying now. Almost force South Africa to go into wicket searching mode. Be patient, be very compact and steady. Understand the morning session won't be easy. The ball will be moving around, but it will get easier. And if you can break the shackles in that first hour without losing a wicket, South Africa will generally start searching for wickets. The bowlers will get a bit frustrated. The captain might be a little bit impatient with his bowlers, not giving them longer spells to settle into. And that's where you want South Africa. You want them to wicket search. And ultimately, that's where you make mistakes as a bowler. You start giving away free boundaries, and you get frustrated. And when you get frustrated, you start making more mistakes. So that is the game of cat and mouse in Test cricket. And that's why it is the ultimate form of the game and why we love the format so much. Babar Azam, guys, let's have a quick look at him. I see a comment about him. Rehan, Babar will score 100 today, so we'll be chasing 285. Woo, that'll be a very, very good target set by Pakistan. We'll see if they get there. That's a lot of runs on day 3 wicket, but you have a chance of doing that if you can last till lunch. That second session between lunch and tea time, that's where it's really nice to bat at Centurion, and then it gets a little bit up and down in the late afternoon session again. But yes, Babar Azam certainly has got the potential of pulling a rabbit out of a hat. I think Babar is the one guy that can manage to do that, and as we know, they have some very dangerous players in that middle order. Also Mohammad Rizwan, a really good player, and some attacking stroke players in number 6 and 7 that I saw in that first innings, which I liked. And if they can frustrate the Proteas batters, someone like Babar will play a key role in playing that foundational role to cement the innings for Pakistan, and a lot of players can be aggressive around him. So we'll see if Babar can pull off a magical trick today, but it will all be to play for. 2 great test-playing cricket nations up against each other. In particular, very important for South Africa, as Pakistan's already been knocked out of the WTC. But for South Africa, absolutely crucial to get a result here in this test match. And the game is pretty much still in the balance, I would say 60-40 for South Africa, but that can change very quickly in one session. Once again, that is the beauty of Test cricket. A little bit of nit and grit, a little bit of fight for your nation. Before you know it, you're in a much better position and the chips will change. Moving on to the next topic, guys. India, Australia over there in Melbourne, the MCG. We saw some incredible crowds over the few days they've played there. Match delayed by rain now. They're off, and I can't see them going back on. I think it has been called. We'll just confirm that. 474 for Australia in that first innings. Very, very entertaining innings, I must say. I was lost for words watching the young Sam Konstas playing cricket. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. Lapping and reverse scooping Jasper Bumrah. I mean, I used to love playing those shots, but definitely not with a new ball in the fourth Test match, the Boxing Day Test match at MCG against the best bowler in the world, Bumrah, with a new ball. Are you out of your mind? I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. But very exciting for the future of cricket. And as Steve Smith said in his presser, if that is the future, then maybe I should be retiring now because I'm not going to play like that, he says. A very cool press conference from Steve Smith. If you want to go listen to that, I found it very entertaining. As we quickly have a look at Australia 474, followed up by India with 358 for 9. May I add, what an incredible fight back. They were in deep trouble. They were staring maximum 250 in the face, I thought. And just a fantastic fight back from Team India. I expected nothing less from them. Lots of big character players. Mr. Reddy getting an incredible 100. I think he's still not out, if I'm not mistaken. I'll quickly have a look. Yes, he's still not out. 105 of 176 balls. Washington Sundar also chipping in with valuable runs. A big 100 partnership towards the back end of the India innings. And just a fantastic fight. They are still in trouble, guys, trailing by 116 runs. So still in trouble, there's no doubt about it, but they're definitely back in the game. And they brought the draw card back in the business as well. As we were staring a result in the face, all of a sudden, all three results are still up for grabs. Still dominated by Australia. I still tip them to do the magic here, get India out, have a very aggressive innings. Maybe someone like a Konstas will come off with that confidence of the first innings. And if he does come off, someone like him and Travis Head perhaps, the game will speed up significantly and I will see them most probably retiring by tea time tomorrow. And then there are 4 sessions to bowl at India, the last session of day 4 and also day 5. And as we know, in day 5 wickets, a lot of crazy things happen. The wickets start doing funny things, a little bit up and down. Sometimes there are some cracks that open up. I'm not sure how hot it's been at the MCG, but maybe there will be some indentations in the wickets and some crazy things that will happen in the last day. And also, obviously, India will still be in the game. They can easily get Australia 100 for 5, 100 for 6, and all of a sudden chasing 250, 280, maybe 300 in that final innings. They will also be in the game. So that's why we love Test cricket. All 3 results still on the table and all to play for. The deficit is now 128. Nitish Kumar Reddy is still not out. What's the chance of India? Can we win? Definitely. I think they'll need a couple more runs, try and get 30 or 40 more, get that deficit to like 80, maybe 75. That's wishful thinking, I must add, because they are 9 down, but it's not impossible. Even with a 100 lead for Australia, we've come back as the Proteas before at Perth in that first Test match. I think it was 2008, maybe 12. I think it is 2008. Anyway, we came back from a 100 deficit in the first innings and we chased down over 400 in the final innings. So it is definitely not impossible. The Australian wickets are incredibly good, guys. It's good to bat on. Day 5, not easy, but it is slower. And I think it will be still play pretty well. So India definitely not out of the contest. That is for sure. Quickly, a super chat question on Marnus Labuschagne, as I mentioned to you before, as we call him over here in South Africa, or pronounce that last name at least. Thoughts on your old Heat teammate Marnus Labuschagne's form? He seems to be getting starts, but isn't converting big. Any tips? Yes, there's nothing more frustrating than that for a batter. If you feel you're in good form, you're batting well in the nets, you're also getting the start. So you're doing all the hard work when it's business time, but not converting. it is very frustrating, but it's also a trend of playing against a world-class team and a world-class bowling side, and particularly a world-class bowler in Bumrah, and a few others as well. So they always come up with some magical deliveries. Even if you're on 40 or 50 or 60, you always feel like you're not in. And I've often mentioned that against world-class bowling attacks. I would mention afterwards that I never felt like I was 100% in, and when talking about feeling in, that's when you don't feel threatened. You feel like the bowlers have almost given up, and all they're trying to do is what I've spoken about before, is absorb and sort of keep you quiet, get some fielders out, and make sure you don't run away with the game. Keep you quiet and hope that you make a mistake. And I think Marnus has found himself in that boat where he never got into a position where he felt like, okay, now it's just up to me to manipulate the bowlers, manipulate the fielders, and just sort of play with them, he's never looked completely into me. So the threats were always still there. And that is just a matter of, I think it's more mind game than anything else, guys. So that will be my advice for him, to sort of make small targets. We always talk about small targets, 5 to 10 runs at a time, maybe even time, talking about time, looking at the overs, and tell yourself, I'm just going to bat for 5 overs here. And then I'm going to bat for another 5 overs. I'm just going to see off Bumrah here. So have little small targets in mind, and also for runs, reset, start again, put out a new target and go for that again. That'll be my advice. Next question, guys. Nitish Kumar Reddy, what should the Indian top order learn from him? I think he's just attacking. That's what I feel. He plays Test cricket, but with the intent to score. That's the idea I get from him, and I love that about batters. And you very often see players do well when they have that kind of attitude, almost nothing to lose kind of attitude. Yes, there's lots on the line and the pressure's up and you're playing for your country. If you get out now, it's pretty much done and dusted. But there is the flip side to that, where you go like, you know what? I'm in the middle order here. I'm batting at 8, and very similar to Corbin Bosch yesterday for South Africa, who batted at 9, I think. Came in and he felt like, you know what? If I think about this, it's not really my job to score the runs. Yes, there's big pressure when I look at the scoreboard, and I have to chip in and I have to have a contribution in the game here. But ultimately, if I get out now, it's the top order that will take responsibility. It's not me. And if you have that kind of attitude, you get yourself into good positions, and you sort of, yes, you look at good deliveries, you respect that, but you always have the intent of scoring runs. And those are the batters that get into good positions. And that's also when I played well back in the day, is when I had positive intent. And that doesn't mean you have an excuse to just get out and just to play big strokes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about looking for runs, looking to move forward well, and be very decisive with what you decide, with your shot selection. And that's pretty much key. And that's what I see with Nitish Kumar Reddy, is he gets into good positions because he's got really good intent. Talking about Corbin Bosch, I wanted to touch on him a little bit. I watched this youngster grow up, and that is also the next question. I think I saw something about Corbin Bosch in the questions department. There we go. Aiden Markram, right? What do you think about Corbin Bosch? Shouldn't he be playing in all formats? Well, he made his ODI debut and also Test debut now. I'm not too convinced about T20 cricket, as he doesn't have a lot of variation with regards to bowling in T20s. Is he good enough as only a batter? Perhaps. And then bowl the odd over like a LB Morkel, maybe back in the day. LB didn't have a lot of skill, but he did a good job with a new ball, and then we knew what he was capable of with a bat in hand. That's where I see Corbin possibly fitting in. But for ODIs and Test matches where you have longer spells, you can have fielders in the right places. You still have more of an attacking mindset as a bowler. I think there's definitely a spot. Well, he showed with bat in hand now, and if you can add value with a bat in hand, you can be looked after by the captain as a bowler. And that's how I see him. Yes, he's got raw pace, but not all these variations and crazy magical variations that we see with some of the bowlers, like a Bumrah, who's got this huge dipper, slower ball, also that toe crusher, Yorker. He goes wide, he goes down. He does all kinds of variations. Got the short stuff as well, where I feel Corbin is a little bit one-dimensional still for T20 cricket. He's got a fantastic opportunity now in the SA22 to prove me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from his bowling. I think he's a wonderful bowler. He has got raw pace, 140 plus. I faced him very often. I just think in T20 cricket, he needs to work on some variations. But yes, fantastic asset in the team if he can be an all-rounder, right? And if he can score you 50 plus runs at the back end of an innings and then come with his raw pace and do a job at the one end for the captain. All right, Shubman Gill was dropped, right? And that's the next question, guys. What do you think about India dropping Shubman Gill? Yes, I mean, that's a very big move for a very talented player. Washington Sundar came in his place, and he's proved the selectors right. There's been some criticism in India that Gill was the one dropped when Rohit is going through worse form. So that's once again that argument about Rohit being captain. Guys, you can't drop the captain unless you take the captaincy away from him, make Bumrah captain, and that'll be headline news, huge news in the middle of a test series. That'll seem like India's panicking. So I think they're trying to stay away from that. Yes, they know Rohit is not in the best of form, but in a big series like this, you don't want to chop and change too much and show that you're panicking while you're still in the contest at 1-1, right? So you can't take anything away from India, the way they've performed in the series. They're still not out of this test match. They're not out of the hunt. And I think that was the thinking. Guys, let's not panic now. It's the 4th test match of a 5 test match series. We show the opposition that we have confidence in our players and what we're trying to do. So, yeah, very harsh on Gill. And the people that have given this move a lot of criticism is also not wrong. I understand the frustration and the disappointment. But I think it is the right move. Ultimately, Washi, I mean, he adds value with both bat and ball. Very, very handy all-round cricketer. But dropping Gill was harsh. I think it's still the right move, though. Saim Ayub, the opening batter for Pakistan, also bowls some, I think it's leg spin that he bowls, little sliders. How do you rate Saim Ayub from Azim Abbas? Thanks for that question. I think he's a wonderful young player. He looks really calm at the crease and he plays the ball nice and late. I haven't seen a lot of him. I watched some ODIs over there in Australia and some cricket that he played here in South Africa, scoring some runs up the order. I think he's a wonderful prospect for the future for Pakistan. And I love the look of him. He also looks like he's got a lot of confidence when he plays. He keeps his head up. He makes eye contact with the opposition, which I really enjoy of youngsters, without being arrogant. He seems like a quiet guy. I like his character. I like what I see, and just a fantastic prospect for the future. As I'm coming to the end of the 360 Live, I might take one question more. I'll see if the team's got one more for me. There we go. And then I think I'll be going to Centurion Park for that first session. My boys have never watched Test match cricket, so I'm very excited to take them there for a few hours and see how the Proteas perform. Is Temba batting at the right position? I think so. I don't know what you have in mind, Sijan. But I do feel he's fine in the middle order there. I think batting at 4 at the moment. Nothing wrong with that. Let me just see who is at number 3. That's I can't remember. I think it's Ryan Rickleton in this test match. Yes, that's right. Dezorzi Markram at the top. Tristan Stubbs at 4. Temba at 5. I see what you mean. I would possibly swap the two of them around. I would like Temba at 4, Stubbs at 5, as I feel Stubbs is more of a all-round player. He can bat. He can do the opening job if we're 3 down early, but can be very aggressive at the back end as well, batting at 5. So yes, you have an argument of possibly swapping the two of them around, but there would have been a good thinking process behind why Stubbs is at 4 and Temba at 5. And most probably, I will try and find out, guys, but most probably this was Temba's call. So you can't argue about the batting position if the player himself says, guys, can I please bat at 5? Maybe he's batting 5 because he saw me batting 5 for most of my test career. And it's a great spot to bat at because you need to be adaptive. You need to play all kinds of situations. Very often you 15 for 3 and there's big pressure. You're a top order batter. The team is in trouble and you need to adapt. You need to look after the new ball. Sometimes there's a great partnership up front and you need to handle the spinners, in particular in the subcontinent. You need to handle the reverse swinging ball. Sometimes you run into the second new ball and you think, wow, we're 250 for 3 and it's fantastic. But boom, here runs the second new ball and there's some cracks in the wicket and all sorts of funny stuff happens there again. So it's just a great all-round position to bat at. I love that position and I don't mind Temba there. And I do feel it was also his own call. Last question, guys, for the 360 Live on the 28th of December is, who's your favorite player at present, in the present generation? Well, it's a difficult call. That I must say, I won't say it's my favorite player, but what Sam Konstas did in that test match, I couldn't believe the shots that he played. So that was the most entertaining innings, I would say, that I saw this year. He's definitely, obviously, a very young player and hasn't proven much yet. I think he's very capable and he's got a lot of potential for the future, but he really, really entertained me. He took out of the box batting to a whole new level in test match cricket with a new ball at the Boxing Day MCG test match. So it was just crazy to watch. He 2 sixes off Bumrah, and that's the joints for the most joint most for any batter in test matches against Bumrah. 2 sixes off Bumrah in test matches. Incredible reverse lap over there, a normal lap, jumping around, and you don't do that to Bumrah. I mean, it's just crazy. I remember trying all these kinds of different things against Bumrah in T20 cricket, with an older ball, and it felt uncomfortable. So big adrenaline pumping shots that was played on that day. And I won't say it's my favorite player of this generation. That would be someone like a Virat, perhaps a Sky, with everything he's accomplished in T20 cricket, in particular the IPL. And just quickly talking about Virat with that big controversial moment that happened at the test match, the shoulder charging with him and Sam Konstas. I will always come up for Virat, but I know that he knows that he was wrong in that with that instance and with what happened there. It wasn't handled very well in that moment, and it shows everything that's on the table for these players. There's a lot to play for. Virat wants to finish well. It's possibly his last tour to Australia. Maybe not. I might be wrong, but it just shows you how much it means to him. And the competitive edge has always been there. I've spoken to you guys very often about me talking to him about his emotions on the park. He really wears his heart on his sleeve, and cricket means a lot to him. His performance means a lot to him. So that's where this comes from. And I'm not making excuses for him, but I want people to understand where this comes from. It is his nature to play with everything he's got. He plays with his heart. He wants to win. And he's a little bit frustrated at this moment, I think, with his current form, not scoring hundreds left, right, and center as he's used to. He did bat pretty well in the series. So I don't know why everyone is all of a sudden talking about bad form. I still think he scored 100 in the series, and he's still the great player that he's always been. But I do feel there's a bit of frustration watching a youngster come up and making it look really easy and almost disrespecting Test cricket in his eyes. So that's where the frustration came from, I feel. And Virat, I honestly feel in that moment, he just wanted to sort of tell the youngster, hey, this is Test cricket. Come on, man, stop disrespecting the game. And obviously the physical contact was completely unnecessary. And there's no doubt that he will regret it and that he knows that he was wrong. The system also told him he was wrong with the demerit points and the fine he got and all of that. So knowing Virat, he will stand up and he will say, guys, I was wrong there. Please just remember, people, that it came from a good place. It came from a place of competitiveness, a place of wanting to win, and there's no doubt about that. So yes, he was wrong. But remember, I think the intent wasn't terrible. I don't think he honestly meant to go and hurt Konstas. But anyway, enough of that. I've said what I wanted to say. I sit on the fence because Virat is my friend, but we all know he was wrong, and we shouldn't see that on a cricket field. Simple as that. So there you have it, guys. 360 Live. I'm off to the cricket. Wherever you are, buckle up. In front of your television screens, South Africa and Pakistan today, and also India, Australia tomorrow, day 4. Follow me in socials here, guys, Instagram, Facebook, X. And thank you very much for joining me on the 360 Live. Subscribe to the channel. Sorry, I've got a few tongue twisters here this morning. I think it's because of all the traveling I did yesterday. But subscribe to the show. I appreciate all of you. I met some interesting people on the airport yesterday, or at the airport at least, a guy called Lee Pan. I'm not sure where he's from. Eastern Asia somewhere. I didn't know they play cricket over there. But he's a cricket fan. I think he might have grown up in South Africa or moved over here over the years. and obviously picked up on the game. And he told me, AB, I'm a big fan of your 360 show. So Lee Pan, wherever you are, thank you very much for that. I appreciate all of you following me on this show and for all the support. Like the show as per usual, guys, and I will be checking in with you on the 360 show this coming week. Take care. Have a wonderful end of the year, right? It's the end of the year, and there's a lot to look forward to. Take care and have a wonderful Saturday. Bye now.